We have a huge update on Mitchell Robinson and his future with the Knicks. New York has just provided new updates about Robinson, his rehab, and potentially when he can return. Multiple NBA insiders have also given us new updates about New York's trade plans for Mitchell Robinson. We're going to break down all of these latest updates today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And make sure you have notifications turned on. So that way, anytime we drop new content, you get notified. And now, let's get started. Update on Mitchell Robinson's future with the Knicks. This is exactly what we have been waiting for. New updates, new information about Mitchell Robinson, his rehab, and his return. About a week ago, we reported that Mitchell Robinson really didn't take the next step in his rehab like we all expected him to. But as of right now, we no longer have those concerns because recently, head coach of the Knicks, Thibodeau, spoke to the media and he gave some significant updates about Mitchell Robinson's rehab and potentially when he can return for New York. Let's go ahead and break down these latest reports. Shout out to Steph Bondy with the New York Post for giving us the following information. According to him, as the clock nears zero on the only public timeline provided by the Knicks for Mitchell Robinson's recovery, Tom Thibodeau revealed for the first time that the center has been running and jumping, doing all of that stuff, but is still awaiting clearance for contact. We should mention, though, Tom Thibodeau did state that Mitchell Robinson, while he's not been cleared for contact, he is still doing controlled contact at this time. Bondy continues here by stating, when Thibodeau was asked if it was seriously still an option for Robinson to practice in the following 2 days, Thibodeau deflected while preaching patience. According to Thibs, look, he's doing well, really well. I'm trusting the medical people. When he's cleared, he's cleared. We're not going to rush it. We're going to be patient. We're just going to take it step by step. Whether it's this week, next week, or the week after, wherever it falls, But we want to make sure he's completely healthy before we put him back out there. Robinson's left ankle injury and recovery have been cloaked in mystery. According to Bondy, most importantly, Robinson has dropped weight, claiming recently he was down to 265 pounds, which should alleviate pressure on his two surgically repaired feet. 3 years prior to the surgery on his left ankle, he had surgery to repair a fracture in his right foot. And shout out to Kristen Winfield from the New York Daily News for giving us the following update. It doesn't sound like Mitchell Robinson will make his season debut before February 6th NBA trade deadline. And judging by head coach Tom Thibodeau's comments about Robinson, there is no urgency to rush the Knicks defensive anchor back before or immediately after the All-Star break either. That was probably the most Mitchell Robinson updates that we've received in a very long time. Not only did we learn that Mitchell Robinson has actually taken the next step in his rehab, now he is running, he is jumping, and he's taking control contact. We also know it's likely he's not going to return by February 6th and probably not even after the All-Star break. Like we just heard from NBA insider with the New York Daily News, Kristen Winfield, the Knicks have no urgency to rush Mitchell Robinson back. They want to make sure he's 100% fully healthy before he returns for New York. And honestly speaking, I have no issues with that because if you take a look at all of the updates that we just received about Mitchell Robinson, it looks like it's most likely he's going to return for the Knicks in early March. And if that's the case, I am perfectly fine with that because if he returns in early March, it gives the Knicks enough time to work him back into the rotation. And if there are any issues or there are any problems, they have enough time to tweak the lineups, tweak the rotations to see what works and what doesn't. They'll also get to see the double big lineup between Karl-Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson. That lineup is something that I've wanted to see since the start of the season. And we might be very close to getting a chance to see it for the very first time. But we have to remember, everything we're talking about right now is estimates. because the clock does not start for Mitchell Robinson and a potential return until he gets cleared for practice and contact. And as of right now, all he's doing is controlled contact. But controlled contact and being cleared for actual contact with other players is a huge difference. And until he makes that next step, we are far away from a Robinson return. But it is good to hear that he's doing well in rehab. He is progressing. And even though it's slow, he's still taking the steps in the right direction to return and come back for this team this season. However, we've heard over the last few weeks a number of reports about teams contacting the Knicks about Mitchell Robinson, checking on his trade availability, potentially wanting to give the Knicks a deal to get Robinson on their team, which led a lot of fans to be confused and ask the question, what is Mitchell Robinson's future with this team? Is he going to be traded? Are the Knicks going to hold on to him? What's going to happen? Well, shout out to Ian Bagley, an NBA insider with SNY, for giving us the following updates about the Knicks and potentially what they're going to be doing with Mitchell Robinson in the future. According to Bagley, given those circumstances, my read on the Knicks and Robinson is the same as it would be for most NBA players at this time of the year. He's available if a team meets the Knicks' asking price. I don't know what their asking price would be for Robinson, but I do know that the Knicks front office doesn't like to trade players at their lowest value. Because of the injury situation, I don't think they'd get much back for Robinson right now. One Eastern Conference executive stated to Ian Bagley earlier in the week, he's the perfect player for what they need behind Karl Anthony Towns. Why trade him now? Bagley continues here by stating, but in a perfect world, Robinson stays in New York and has a chance to play with this team. It's easily the most talented team of Robinson's Knicks tenure. It's clear, though, that things went sideways during Robinson's surgery or rehab. As we've noted on the putback and elsewhere, Jonas Valanciunas will be on the Knicks' radar if they decide that Robinson can't fill the backup center role. One thing is absolutely clear. New York will not trade Mitchell Robinson just to trade Mitchell Robinson. If they move him, it's because they got an offer for Robinson they were not expecting. And it's so good that they can't ignore it. They have to say yes to it. But apart from that, they're not going to trade Robinson because of exactly what Ian Bagley just reported. They do not want to trade Robinson when his value is at the lowest. And right now, you could make the argument. His value is on the floor, probably worse than it's ever been in his entire career. He's not played for a while. He's had to deal with a number of surgeries. He's been dealing with rehab, obviously dealt with some type of setback, according to Ian Bagley. Whether that's with surgery or with his rehab, something happened that caused him to miss so much time. Because initially, when he had that surgery, it was supposed to be minor. He was not supposed to miss this much time, but look at what happened. He's missed several months, and we still have no idea why. But what we do know is that the Knicks would prefer for Mitchell Robinson to return, join this team, and see what he can offer to this roster. They would much rather do that than trade him at the deadline. And one of the main reasons they would rather do that is because when he's healthy, he is the perfect fit for this team. He is exactly what New York needs. But that begs the question, when Mitchell Robinson returns, what is his role going to be on this team under head coach Tom Thibodeau? Now that he's primarily a bench player under Thibs, how is he going to be utilized? Well, shout out to Steph Bondy with the New York Post for asking Tom Thibodeau this question, and Thibs actually answered it, and he gave us the following response. According to Bondy, Thibodeau was talking on Wednesday about Mitchell Robinson, and the way he was speaking about him was, not only was he expecting him to return soon, but he also had an integration plan for him after such a long layoff. According to Tom Thibodeau, obviously, we're almost at 50 games into it, so we have a pattern, rotation that we're using. We know that there's going to be an adjustment period coming back and whatever he could give us. Obviously, he's not going to be playing starter minutes. He's got to get acclimated to playing again. So whatever medical says, how he feels, there will be a ramp up and we'll go from there. We're excited for whenever he does come back. Obviously, he's not going to be playing starter minutes. That right there answers most questions for a lot of Knicks fans. Some of you thought when he came back, he was going to be starting. Maybe start right alongside Karl Anthony Towns. And I remember telling you guys for a while now, when he returns, he will not be starting. Likely, he's never going to start again for the Knicks unless a situation calls for it. But when he returns, he's going to primarily be playing off the bench. Not only because he's going to be on a minutes restriction, but because that's going to be his role. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, maybe 10 to 12 minutes a night, you're going to see that double big lineup I've been talking about. Mitchell Robinson and Karl Anthony Towns. And during that stretch, the Knicks are going to be unstoppable on offense and unstoppable on defense. Suffocating even. You're not going to be able to penetrate and create. And if you try to throw that ball outside, our wing defenders are going to be all over you. Because with Mitchell Robinson in the game, they're not going to have to worry about collapsing inside the paint. Robinson can do that himself. Now our wings will be able to do what we need them to do. Target and focus on the perimeter. Try to penetrate now, because during that 10 to 12 minute stretch, you're not going to be able to get anything. You're just going to be watching the Knicks run right through you. And with Mitchell Robinson, it's always going to be a question mark over his health, his status, and his return, because we never know from a day-to-day basis what's going to happen. Is a setback going to happen? Is his return date going to be pushed back again? And until he gets cleared for contact, nobody will really know, because that's when the clock starts. That's when we can give you a more estimated date on Mitchell Robinson and when he comes back to this team. But until we get that, everything, including Mitchell Robinson himself, is a question mark. But what about you guys? What do you think about the following reports indicating that the Knicks likely do not want to move off of Mitchell Robinson? They want to wait for him to return. And because his trade value is the lowest in his entire career, they're likely not going to trade him. They're going to hold him unless an offer is on the table that they can't say no to. Let me know how you feel about that in the comment section below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans, take care of yourself, your families, and each other. Peace and love.